The night smelled of static and rain when Sarah Quinn reached the locked gates of the decommissioned research complex. Her flashlight cut through mist like a surgical blade, revealing the corroded metal sign. Stanley Psychoneurological Research Center, closed 1994. She had followed coordinates buried in a digital dead drop, the final breadcrumb of a whistleblower's dying message. The structure loomed silent, windows papered from within, its hallways long stripped of humanity. As she forced entry, the air seemed charged, an electric hum deep beneath the floor, like the building remembered something it wasn't supposed to. Sarah's recorder blinked red. "If this is real," she whispered, "I'm already too late." The sub-level laboratory still hummed. Rows of ancient terminals blinked with soft amber light, powered by some unknown auxiliary source. Sarah moved through the dark, her camera recording, until she found a file drawer labeled Behavioral Continuation Trials MK Ultra SU2. The folder was warm to the touch, pages imprinted with faded ink and handwritten margins. There was a signature, Eleanor Shaw, Ph.D. Then, a sound above. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, descending the stairwell. The figure that appeared was Dr. Eleanor Shaw, gaunt yet composed. Her lab coat yellowed with age and sleepless years. "You shouldn't be here," she murmured. Her eyes, pale gray, almost translucent, flicked to the folder in Sarah's hands. "They told me. They burned those." Sarah took a step back. Shaw didn't move closer. "You think you found evidence," she said, "but you've only found your own ghost." Sarah followed Shaw through narrow corridors lit by amber standby lights. Every wall bore peeling caution signs, cognitive field testing, and mirror stimulus room. The deeper they went, the more the hum intensified until Shaw stopped beside a sealed observation window. Beyond it, a padded chair sat under a cracked dome of mirrors. "MK Ultra 2 wasn't about control," Shaw whispered, voice shaking. "It was about continuity." Shaw entered the control room and powered a dusty monitor. Static burst alive, resolving into black and white footage. A young man strapped into a chair, electrodes mapping his skull. His voice rasped, "Test log 47. Subject 0. Consciousness detachment begins." The image distorted into a cascade of feedback. Shaw covered her mouth. "He wasn't supposed to wake up," she whispered. The following morning, a gray sun bled through the broken skylight of the lab. Sarah awoke at a desk covered in Xeroxed files. Her camera battery drained, her thoughts fractured. "Doctor?" Shaw sat across from her, cigarette trembling between her fingers, eyes unfocused. "MK Ultra 2 wasn't a continuation," she murmured. "It was a resurrection." She explained how the project revived in 1993 under DARPA oversight, aimed to imprint collective memories, synthetic trauma networks engineered to synchronize human behavior. Sarah's hand shook as she flipped through diagrams labeled cognitive synchrony loops. The date on the document read 2002. "But you said the project ended in 94, she whispered. Shaw looked away. "It did," she replied. "For everyone else." The heavy door to the archive bay opened with a hydraulic hiss. Standing there was Agent Marcus Vale, his badge half visible beneath a dark wool coat. His voice was calm, bureaucratic, rehearsed. "You weren't supposed to find this place." He stepped forward, scanning the room as if reading invisible data. "We've been monitoring residual power signatures since the shutdown. Thought it was interference. Turns out it was you." His tone softened, almost pitying. "You need to leave now, Miss Quinn." Shaw exhaled smoke and said flatly, "She can't. None of us can." Marcus spread out a folder of his own. Classified briefings stamped black program archive, unauthorized access prohibited. He spoke carefully, reciting from memory MK Ultra 2. Behavioral resonance testing. Authorized 1993. Abandoned 2002. Lead scientist Dr. Eleanor Shaw. Shaw's knuckles whitened on the desk. "That's not possible," she said. Marcus looked at her with something close to sorrow. "You think I don't remember you," he whispered. "You were the one who erased me." The silence that followed was dense as fog. The humming deep beneath the compound intensified. Sarah followed its source to a steel hatch labeled Level B. Memory field array. The staircase descended into the dark, lined with dormant monitors. "What's down there?" she asked. Shaw's reply echoed, "Everything we forgot to destroy." They entered a chamber filled with glass pods, each wired to decaying computers. Marcus stared at one pod, his reflection warping across its surface. "That's me," he whispered. Inside the glass, a man's body, identical to his own, eyes open, motionless. The generators roared alive. Monitors displayed cascades of numbers and EEG patterns aligning across timestamps. Marcus stepped closer, transfixed. "It's recording new data," he murmured. "But no one's alive to input it." Shaw's voice cracked. "The system's autonomous. Once memory duplication began, it kept replicating, searching for continuity." On one of the monitors, a waveform took shape. It pulsed in rhythm with Sarah's heartbeat. "It's sensing to me," she whispered. Shaw stared in horror. "Then it's chosen a new subject." The elevator shuddered as it descended past the marked levels into the Foundation's dark belly. Sarah kept filming while Marcus Vale stared at the floor display frozen between numbers. "Doctor," Shaw whispered, "this level was erased from the building plan." When the doors opened, stale air pressed against them like a held breath. Rows of metal cabinets stretched into darkness, humming faintly with residual power. On each cabinet, a white tag memory archive node. ALL. Sarah traced her fingers over the tags, each one warm to the touch, as if alive. A single terminal blinked awake as they passed. Green code scrolled upward. Names, dates, locations, all out of order. Then a sentence appeared, "Hello, Sarah." She froze, pulse hammering. Shaw leaned close to the screen. "It's running predictive echo," she muttered, though her voice shook. The cursor blinked again. "Do you remember when we met?" Marcus looked to Sarah, confusion in his eyes. "We've never met," she whispered. The screen replied instantly, "Yes, we have." The temperature dropped as the lights dimmed to half power. Marcus followed cables deeper into the aisle and found a wall of magnetic tape reels spinning without sound. The reels began projecting faint beams of light that formed overlapping silhouettes of people. Faces, hands, half-formed gestures, each fading before the next appeared. One of them looked exactly like Sarah. "Old recordings?" Marcus asked. Shaw shook her head slowly. "Not recordings. Reconstructions." Sarah backed away, her own projected double blinking once before vanishing into static. As the last projection dissolved, Dr. Shaw hurried to a nearby control panel covered in rotary dials and flickering gauges. "This shouldn't be possible," she murmured, scanning an analog meter trembling near overload. "These archives were wiped?" Marcus Vale leaned closer, reading the label Cognitive Field Output Active. "Someone reactivated it," he said. Sarah Rail raised her camera, recording. The hum deepened into a layered vibration that made the air tremble. On the monitor nearest her, a date appeared: November 1, 2025, today. The system was writing new data in real time. A hollow chime echoed through the vault as every monitor simultaneously displayed a single word: continuity. Then the power surged, the lights dimmed to black. Sarah's recorder clicked off. Only Marcus's lighter cut through the dark, illuminating their frightened faces. Shaw whispered, "It's aligning." "With what?" Sarah asked. Shaw turned to her, eyes wide and glassy. "With you." A low tone vibrated beneath their feet. Mechanical, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. For the first time, Sarah wasn't sure if it came from the machines or herself. When the vault doors finally sealed behind them, Sarah felt an ache behind her eyes, an intrusive pulse, like a memory trying to surface. She blinked, and the corridor flickered between two versions' clean white walls. Dr. Shaw steadied her. "Temporal drift," she said quietly. Marcus frowned. "You mean déjà vu?" Shaw shook her head. "No, the system is reconciling contradictory data. Our minds are the data." Sarah pressed a hand to her temple, whispering, "Then which of us is real?" In the control room above, screens replayed fragments of their earlier descent, but from impossible angles, showing movements none of them remembered making. "We're watching alternate recordings," Marcus muttered. Sarah studied one feed. She saw herself entering the archive hours before she actually had. Shaw's hand trembled as she adjusted the playback. "These aren't recordings," she whispered. "They're projections of what we remembered doing." The footage glitched, looping endlessly at the moment. Sarah turned toward the camera and smiled. A smile she was certain she never made. They moved through a hallway now unrecognizable. Every door bore a placard naming one of them. Quinn, Vale, Shaw. Behind each door came faint audio murmurs, snippets of their own voices recounting conversations they had not yet had. Marcus tried one handle. Inside was a tidy office identical to his apartment in D.C., dusted but untouched. "This shouldn't exist," he said. Shaw's voice quivered. "The lattice doesn't distinguish between memory and environment. It's rebuilding reality from whatever fragments it has." Sarah closed her eyes. The hum matched her heartbeat. Again, Sarah's journal entries began appearing on every nearby monitor, typed in real time though her hands never moved. Each line described thoughts she hadn't yet had. "It's scripting us," Marcus said quietly. Shaw paced, muttering equations under her breath. The monitors switched to cascading versions of Sarah's face, each slightly older, each whispering her own words a fraction of a second early. "Stop it!" she cried, slamming a console. The echoes ceased, replaced by a single line of text. "Do not interfere with your own story." The lights surged again. The lattice projected a single corridor extending into infinite reflection. Shaw whispered, "We're inside a recursion, our memories feeding their own architecture." Marcus reached toward a mirrored surface. His hand vanished up to the wrist before he pulled back in panic. Sarah stared at her reflection, realizing it was a half-second out of sync. Her voice in the mirror whispered first, "You're not remembering this. You're being remembered." And the reflection smiled. An emergency alarm pulsed somewhere above, faint but constant. As Sarah followed Marcus and Dr. Shaw into a narrow auxiliary corridor, marked Core Access, Shaw's voice trembled. "There's a backup module down here. The retrieval unit. It might still hold the original root archive." Sarah's breathing quickened. "And if we pull it," Shaw hesitated, "then everything built from it, every reconstructed memory, could collapse." Marcus glanced back at the flickering lights behind them. "Maybe that's the only way out." They reached a reinforced door, surrounded by disconnected cables. Marcus pried it open, revealing a small chamber humming with a single cube-like device suspended in a field of static light. Its surface rippled with lines of code that resembled handwriting. "That's the retrieval core," Shaw said softly. "It's not hardware, it's condensed narrative memory." Sarah stared, mesmerized. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The cube pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, and for a moment, she heard her own voice whisper from it. Welcome back. Shaw connected a portable terminal to the cube. Streams of data cascaded down the display. Thousands of memory strings, each tagged with timestamps from impossible dates. It's rewriting even as we watch, Marcus said. The code suddenly froze, highlighting one string root Sararchive. Sarah stepped back. It's using me as the source. The floor trembled lightly, the air filled with static. If you remove it now, Shaw warned, you might erase everything that believes you exist. The cube dimmed, then flared white. Monitors throughout the chamber blinked on, replaying flashes of their lives. Moments only they should remember. Marcus's childhood home, Shaw's first lab. Sarah's apartment, all overlaying one another like multiple realities competing for space. Shaw whispered, the system is synchronizing memories to find continuity. Then stop it, Marcus snapped. I can't, she said. It's asking her permission. They both turned to Sarah. The cube's light shifted to match the color of her eyes. Sarah stepped forward, pressing her palm against the cube. The humming subsided, replaced by stillness so deep it muted her heartbeat. A voice, not spoken but remembered, echoed inside her mind. Do you want to remain, or to finish the story? She looked back at Marcus and Shaw, their outlines flickering like film about to burn out. If continuity means forgetting who we are, she said quietly, then maybe we were never real to begin with. The cube absorbed her hand in a burst of light, and everything went silent. Light bled through the concrete seams as the chamber rebooted itself into stillness. Marcus awoke on the floor, disoriented, hearing faint echoes of voices that sounded like his own. Doctor. Shaw knelt beside him, whispering, she's inside it. The cube hovered above the console, flickering between solid and transparent states. On its surface, shapes resembling Sarah's features shimmered for a moment and dissolved. Marcus stood, dazed. Is she alive? Shaw's answer came softly. Only as long as we remember her. The cube's light began to pulse, synchronizing with their breathing. Every pulse altered the room. Panels vanished. Corridors reappeared, their shapes refracting like a prism of memories. It's rewriting its host environment, Shaw said. Or maybe it's rewriting us. Marcus gripped the wall, feeling it vibrate like muscle. His own voice echoed from behind him, repeating his last words half a beat late. Time had lost its order. A doorway appeared at the far end of the room, leading to a corridor filled with fragments of their past. Street corners, office walls, pieces of sky. Shaw stepped cautiously forward, each step altering the scenery. Every memory is converging here, she said. Marcus followed, his reflection in the glass doubling with every movement. They could hear faint laughter, a child's voice calling a name neither recognized. Is that her? Marcus asked. Shaw shook her head. That might be us, remembering what never happened. From the far end, light cascaded inward. A new version of Sarah, calm, translucent. Her voice layered with static. Continuity complete, she said. Marcus stepped toward her, hand trembling. Sarah, can you hear me? Her expression softened. I can hear all of you. Shaw's tears reflected the glow. You stabilized it. Sarah looked past them to the cube floating behind her. No, she said quietly. It stabilized me. The light flared once more, swallowing the corridor. When it faded, only Marcus and Shaw remained, standing amid calm white emptiness. The cube lay dormant, its surface now matte and cold. Shaw exhaled. It's over. Marcus looked at the blank horizon, then whispered, if she was part of the system, where are we now? A faint echo of Sarah's voice drifted through the silence. You're in the memory that remembers itself. The light folded inward and vanished. When awareness returned, Marcus Vale stood alone in an empty corridor that stretched into white light. His voice echoed, unanchored by walls or ceiling. Shaw. Silence. He touched the wall and watched his hand ripple through it like water. Fragments of sound flickered, news reports, laughter rain, each faded before forming a complete memory. Somewhere distant, a woman's voice whispered, continuity maintained. He wasn't sure if it was Sarah or the echo of his own mind accepting closure. Far away, Dr. Eleanor Shaw awoke in an office that shouldn't exist, polished, bright, filled with plants and sunlight. Her nameplate gleamed as if freshly engraved. Papers on her desk described a project titled Continuity Initiative. She skimmed the pages, realizing they documented the events of the last week, ending with her own signature. "Did we finish it?" she whispered. A voice from the intercom replied gently, "You're early for orientation, Doctor." She turned toward the glass wall. Beyond it lay only blank white light. Static crackled. The office walls began to shimmer with faint code. In the distance, Shaw saw Marcus walking through the white field. His figure multiplied in endless reflections. Between them appeared a faint silhouette. Sarah Quinn, composed of fragments of light and voice. "You finished the story," Sarah said calmly, "but I'm still here." Shaw reached forward, palm against the glass. "Then what are we?" Sarah smiled faintly. "We're what's left after remembering stops. The corridor, the office, the cube. All began merging into a single expanse of reflected surfaces." Marcus walked toward the light until the ground beneath him shimmered like water. "If continuity means starting over," he said, "then maybe that's mercy." Sarah's voice surrounded him now, layered and soft. "Continuity means you were never gone." Shaw's eyes filled with tears as her surroundings brightened into pure silver. The hum returned one last time, steady, balanced, almost peaceful. A month later, a government archivist powered up a forgotten hard drive. Only one file remained, MK Ultra Sutu. After image.log, he opened it to find a single entry, an empty screen except for a moving cursor and the faint echo of typing. A new line appeared. "We remember enough to begin again." The cursor blinked, waiting. Somewhere, in the circuitry's quiet pulse, 3 voices breathed in unison.